All right. So Spain denies access. Oh, it sounds like we have like a foreign relation nightmare. Okay, we're having problems with Spain and the United States. So what the United States did is they sent out their Secretary of State, kind of like Hillary Clinton, who was nominated by Barack Obama, head of the executive branch, to go and deal with Spain to try to come to some resolution. Does anybody know who the Secretary of State was at this time? Yes?
Jefferson?
No. Yes?
John Adams?
No, not Adams. Close, really close. Who is the Secretary of State at this time period? Yes?
Madison?
No, not Madison. Yes?
Franklin?
No.
He was there.
Anyone else know? Who was the Secretary of State appointed by the president to try and go and deal with Spain?
Oh,
Miles?
there wasn't one because of the board.
There wasn't one?
Yeah, because the Constitution wasn't in effect yet, so there was no executive branch. So.
There was no executive branch? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh. So, who would go and speak with Spain then? Did I just say Spain or something? Never. Who would go speak with Spain then? Yes? Well, who's the only person that kind of represents the country? Huh? Congress. So the Spanish representative is going to go in front of all of Congress and, hi, Congress, how are you? Oh, hi. I don't like you. Hi. And as a result of this, if you know, in front of all of Congress, if it's not one-on-one, is anything going to be resolved? No. So there is no single body, single person to deal with foreign policy, so it's a nightmare. Nothing gets solved. Oh, if there was only an executive branch. So significance, there was no leader to negotiate with Spain to solve the problem, furthering the economic hardships of the era. Because if they could move ships up there, maybe they could trade all kinds of stuff. Oh, it's as if we're in an economic crisis. Yes?
Can you state that?
There was no leader to negotiate with Spain. So, as a result of this, the issue went unsolved. Because of the weakness inherent in the Articles of Confederation. Cool. You got any questions about Spain or Britain making things difficult? Crises? All right. Next, let's talk about crisis at home. First crisis at home has to do with land. Several things were leading to problems with regard to land. First problem was that there was agricultural production was in decline, which means they weren't making as much food. Why weren't they producing as much food, do you think? It's as if something was, yes?
Was it because they weren't able to give it or to trade it for the Caribbean?
True, but that's part of it, but there's something more important. What were all the farmers doing? Yes?
Fighting in the revolution.
And you can't fight and plant corn at the same time?
Not really.
Unless you're a super. So many of them were we're off fighting the American Revolution, and thus we're not at home planting wheat, planting corn, planting the food that would be necessary after the war. As a result of this, and this is gonna, all of this blends together, but if you don't have food, then if your state, say Massachusetts, puts a tax on you, are you going to be able to feed your family and pay this tax? No. So states levy taxes on some states put taxes on their people. They can't pay because they were fighting off in the war. And so their farms are foreclosed on and taken away. It's as if this is going to lead to some kind of rebellion. I don't know. Second problem has to do with money. And there's two problems with money. The first has to deal with debt and paying off debt. Each state had its own revolutionary debt, and it was required to pay off its debt by itself. So Massachusetts, you pay off your debt. Maryland, you pay off your debt by yourself. Congress, they're not going to pay it off. They can't even collect taxes. They don't have any money. They're broke. So there was no uniform policy for the repayment of debts incurred from the American Revolution. Secondly, Article 4 of the Paris Peace Treaty stated that all of them must repay their debts. None of this, you know what, I don't think I want to pay France its money back, because it was part of the peace treaty. It's part of the foundation of the country. You have to repay your debt. Otherwise, we look like loser creditors that's like this. Oh my gosh. What the heck was his name? I had this friend. Well, he was more of an acquaintance. And he said he had just got a brand new Gibson Les Paul, a $2,500 guitar. He went to Guitar Center, opened one of those credit cards, that they have. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like they offer the credit cards. He bought the guitar. He shredded the credit card. Problem solved. And he has himself a free guitar. It doesn't work that way, people, especially with credit. If our country, and this is going to come up later, if we don't repay our debts, no one's going to buy stuff from us. No one's going to hang out. If you lent your friend $2,500 and then they just like, I'm never paying you back, would you hang out with your friend anymore? No, because they're a loser. And so no one wants to hang out with losers like the United States. So they have to repay their debts. All right. Which led some states to put high taxes. Like which state put on high taxes? Let's pay off this debt soon. Yes? Massachusetts, pay off that debt. Get it out of the way. In other states, we'll get to it later. So if maybe you notice the theme here. Does America have a long history of procrastination? Isn't it kind of ingrained in our society, like pay off your debt when you feel like it? So it's an American tradition, Miles, to not pay off your credit when it's due. All right. Second main problem has to deal with inflation, currency and inflation. And the book kind of elaborates a lot on this, but I'll just kind of summarize it for you. So I'm talking about money. Second problem is with inflation. And currencies in the United States kind of got out of control. There was some significant inflation after the American Revolution for a couple reasons. All of it stemming from could the Articles of Confederation control currency rates or do anything with money? They could print money, but they had no control over any other state's currencies or money. They had no power over that. So most states had their own currencies. If you owned a bank, you could even have your own currency. I think Britain, isn't the pound even? I think it's from the Bank of, it's